Are you creating content for your business? And do you sometimes get that devil on your shoulder questioning whether your content is good enough? Or is it asking you if you are being that annoying or pushy person online that people actually don't want to deal with? If you recognize these feelings, you're definitely not alone. This is why in this video, I want to give you a 5-point checklist with tips to make sure whatever content you put out there is actually received positively by your audience. But first, for the best business and marketing advice, make sure you subscribe to my channel and hit the bell to get notified when I post a new video every Thursday. If you don't know me, I am Jessie and I'm the founder of the Brand Catalyst. And at the Brand Catalyst, we help business owners and brand leaders create visibility around their business in a crowded market space. So it is my mission to make sure that our clients have the best strategy in place when it comes to be seen and attract and convert clients. So today we're talking about creating content for independent creators and small business owners. And we are all super dependent as small businesses on creating our own content to try and draw some positive attention to our business. A few weeks back, I asked a group of people what their main struggle is when delivering branding and marketing, because I think this is really interesting insights. And amongst the small business owners who can't afford to rely on big, expensive marketing agencies, and therefore they produce their own content, the number one response I got was that they actually feel really scared of coming across as pushy and annoying instead of just being these nice people that are giving away knowledge. So this is why I think we all, first of all, need to recognize that we probably all of us suffer to some extent around this fear of being judged. Just acknowledge it exists, and this is not just for you, it's for everyone, and that's when we move on. So putting ourselves out there and we decide that we have good intentions, so it's okay. And the good news is that there are also some steps that you can actually use when you're producing content to make sure you have good quality. So the first point I want to give you today is to really make sure you're spending some time understanding your target audience. So you need to create persona profiles and really do everything you can to understand what your ideal avatar or ideal buyer profile is passionate about. So go out in the field and put some effort in. Ask 50 people who could be your ideal clients or past clients what would be good content for you to create if it should really be helpful and exciting for them to consume. And in this way, you are not talking about you, but you are starting to deliver value on something real people have actually asked you for. And around this, I have actually created a 7-step guide with cheat sheets. And in this guide, there's information on how you can write good persona profiles. So I've left a link for you in the description below, so go ahead and use that. My second point is to challenge you to not talk about your product or service. If you've done your job well enough in the first step, you'll have identified so-called themes of talking points around what your audience truly care about. So as an example, Nike will not be talking about their amazing running shoes all the time and how much comfort they give and how good they are for your food. No, they really own the territory of running. And this is how they have really built great authority when it comes to doing relevant content and events that their audience truly care about. So make sure you really put some effort into finding out what themes or topics or talking points you can start talking or communicating with your audience about. How can you bring value without pushing your product? That is essentially it. So my tip number 3, think about it. Nobody wants to see something that doesn't feel polished or thought through. So creating good content, we just need to acknowledge that it is not a 5-minute job. It is much better to create a little less content, but then do it well. I personally love using Canva. It's my cheating tool and I use it weekly, sometimes daily, because I'm not a design wizard, but Canva, that really makes it easy for dummies like me to create content that looks better. So use that to your advantage if you're not a design wizard either. People also respect you more for taking the time to do your best. And after all, if they are to work with you and you slack in this first instance, why should they trust you with their business? They could fear that you then just slack on the work you also do for them. So we don't want to risk that. Make sure you comment below and let me know what you're struggling with the most when it comes to branding and marketing. It was the question I asked an audience earlier, and today we're then watching this video, so I might be able to answer your questions too. Moving on to tip number 4 on how to avoid feeling pushy and making good content that connects with your audience. Make the most of each piece. That's tip number 4. This might seem really obvious, but now that you put all of this time and effort into creating content, make sure it reaches everyone it needs. As an example, I currently do 1 YouTube video per week. I could do more, but this is because I have to research a topic my audience care about. Then I have to do proper keyword research on titles. I have to write SEO or SEO scripts to ensure you can see that all of this is a lot of work. And so make sure that your content is good, and then you really make the most of it, push it. And I bet you no one will see it every time you post it. So post it several times is okay. So really make sure in relation to this that you study the platform it requires to go out on, to make sure it actually gets seen by the right people, because otherwise all of those upfront efforts again will be wasted. And just remember that not bombarding people with information is actually also a way of not looking pushy. So let's move on to the 5th and last point around how you can create good content that doesn't make you look pushy. So when you think about your content, you want to imagine you are someone within your target audience from a visual perspective. Then what would you like to see? Of course, make sure it aligns with your brand, look and feel, but I also have another really good test for you, and I use this one myself. Download an app called Planoly or a similar one, which you can then use to plan out a Instagram feed, and then you try and place your content in a 1-by-1 format into an Instagram planning grid. And when you see it there in the grid, first of all, does it look good? So this will be your own grid if you're using Instagram, but also if there's text on it, can you actually read it? This is a huge mistake. So many people put out content on thumbnails but people can't read it. So less is more when it comes to text, but make sure it really pops and stand out. Now imagine your content lands on the Explorers page on Instagram. Will your content actually stand out? This is really important to test because you want to have that kind of clickbait, and you need to think at it as if you are competing with everyone else on the internet or on the Explorers page. Why should they choose to click on your piece of content over anyone else? So clickable content always have some sort of bait or something that appeals. It can be visually pleasing, it can be funny, it can be a little bit outgoing, it can just be more colorful, it can be whatever it is, but just think about what it is that drives people to click on it. And the point here is that if you think you can win the attention grabbing game on Instagram, then you can probably also win it on other platforms. So that's all of my 5 points for this video. If you want to dive a bit deeper and start really putting all of these great creative insights into action, make sure you download my free 7-step guide on how you can create a marketing plan. This is also the plan that contains the framework for audience research, so I'm sure it will be super helpful. I left the link in the comments below. Also, if you want to join a community for like-minded business people where I share experiences and tips and tricks to improve your marketing strategy, go ahead and join my closed Facebook group in the link below. If you like this video, make sure to hit that subscribe button and share it with your friends and colleagues. And right around now, a couple of videos should be popping up around me. It is my latest content within branding and marketing, so I will see you there.